Abu Abdullah was killed 1 hour before sunset. Because as you know, many of his companions were killed. His family members were killed. Even there are ahadith which say that he lay on the grounds of Karbala for a couple of hours. Imam al-Rada says, my father, Abu Abdullah, was not killed, he was slaughtered. They said to him, why? He said, a person who's killed knows when his death is coming. Whereas when you are slaughtered, you are awaiting that final strike. And that's why the only aim of talking about the fast of Ashura was to divert the people's attentions away from what happened to Abu Abdullah on the 10th of Muharram. Because there is no greater event in the history of Islam. Why? Because it is the master of the youth of paradise who's been killed. The grandson of the greatest messenger. And the grandson of the greatest message who was killed on the 10th of Muharram. Ibrahim was saved from the fire of Nimrud. Ayyub's illness was cured. Yaqub's eyesight was returned to him. Nuh's people were saved. And Musa and the children of Israel. However, none comes near what happened to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Because what happened to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein is something that rocked the very foundation. And on this, the first night of Muharram, we remember Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam. And remember the calamities, because these nights are really a devotion to her stand in allowing us to remember her. Because the ladies of Abu Abdullah went from Karbala towards Kufa, towards Sham. When they got to Sham, can you imagine Sayyida Zainab? This lady, 56 years old. There are some ladies in their 20s, they feel the pain of heat. At 56 years old, chained. At 56 years old, receiving the whips of Shimr bin al-Jawshan. At 56 years old, acting as a mother to all the orphans. They were taken towards the court of Yazid in Sham. When they were taken towards the court of Yazid in Sham, what happened was, Yazid at the time was married to a lady called Hind. Hind was the daughter of Abdullah ibn Amr. Abdullah ibn Amr was the cousin of Uthman ibn Affan. Abdullah ibn Amr, Hind had been with him. When he died, she became a servant in the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib. When Ali ibn Abi Talib died, she was a servant in the house of whom? In the house of Imam Hassan. When Imam Hassan was poisoned by Muawiyah, Muawiyah forced her to marry Yazid. And so she was there in the house. Her servant came to her. She was now the wife of the king. Her servant came to her and said to her, "Oh Hind, today we have been told about a group who have come, a group of prisoners." She said, "Where have they come from?" The reply came, "They have come from the land of Karbala." She said, "What do you want?" She said to her, "You have to get dressed. Yazid wants you to come into the courtroom. Because each one of their ladies has been brought in." When they had been brought in, she got dressed in her finest. She went and sat on her throne. Yazid was in the other court. She sat down. As she sat down, Sayyida Zainab and Kulthum were in front of her. Sayyida Zainab looked towards Kulthum. When she looked towards her, she said to her, Kulthum, do you recognize who that is? Remember, they had all grown up together. But now their faces have changed because of the pain of the 10th of Muharram. Kulthum, do you know who that lady is? Kulthum replied to Sayyida Zainab. She said to her, "Oh Sayyida Zainab, I do not know who that lady is." Sayyida Zainab said to her, "Do you remember Hind, who used to be our servant in our house in Medina?" She said to her, "Yes." She said, "That is her. She is in front of us, Hind." At this moment, Hind was sitting down on her throne. She looked at Sayyida Zainab. She said to Sayyida Zainab, "Oh lady, where are you people from?" Sayyida Zainab replied by saying, "We are from the people of Medina." This was her reply straight away. The reply came back from Hind. She came off her throne and she sat on the ground and she said, "Welcome to the people of Medina." Sayyida Zainab looked at her and said to her, "Hind, why do you sit on the ground? Do you know anybody in Medina?" She said to her, "Yes, I used to work for a family in Medina when I was growing up." She said to her, "Which family?" She said, "I used to work for the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib in Medina. I had seen his children grow up one by one." Sayyidah Zainab looked at her and she said, who do you know of the children of Ali ibn Abi Talib? Hind looked at her and said, are you able to tell me about them? I haven't been in touch with them for many years. I don't know what has happened to them. Sayyidah Zainab said to her, oh Hind, tell me, who do you want to know about? Hind hadn't noticed Sayyidah Zainab had called her by her name. She said to her, oh Hind, tell me, who do you want to know about? Listen to the reply. She said, tell me about Abu Fadl al-Abbas, the young man that I saw when he was growing up. Imagine, Abu Fadl was a young man when he was growing up. He was only in his 20s, she had seen him at that very young age. She looked at Sayyidah Zainab, she said to her, tell me about Abu Fadl al-Abbas. How is Abu Fadl doing? Sayyidah Zainab pointed towards one of the spears. Why? Because Abu Fadl's body was not present in the court of Yazid. All that was present was the head of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. She pointed towards the head of Abu Fadl and she said, oh Hind, that is Abu Fadl al-Abbas over there in front of you. She then began to cry. She said, tell me, where is Abu Abdullah? I want to see Abu Abdullah. I haven't seen him for a long time. Sayyidah Zainab, this was her hardest moment, because Sayyidah Zainab knew that Abu Abdullah's face was not even recognizable. Why? His beard was covered by blood. There were marks of blood all around that holy face. She looked at Hind and she said, oh Hind, can you see that spear in front of you? She said to her, yes. She said, that is Abu Abdullah. Hind began to cry. She said, oh Sayyidah Zainab, tell me, where is Ali ibn al-Hussein Zainul Abidin? She turned around and she said, oh Hind, do you see that ill man over there in front of you? That man who has the chains around him. That man who has a chain around his neck. She said to her, yes. She said, that is Ali ibn al-Hussein. Hind still hadn't realized where Sayyidah Zainab and Kulthum was. She said, oh lady, can you tell me, where is Kulthum and where is Sayyidah Zainab? I was grown up in their house. I want to see both of them. Hind at this moment turned round. Sayyidah Zainab said to her, oh Hind, if you want to see Kulthum, there is Kulthum over there. Kulthum was on the ground. She then said to her, oh Hind, if you want to see Sayyidah Zainab, then here I am, Sayyidah Zainab, sitting in front of you in the court of Yazid. Hind began to call out, Wa Husayna, Wa Sayyida, Wa Aliya. She began to call out one after another. Suddenly it's narrated she went in the court of Yazid. She left it, she went towards Yazid. She entered without her hijab. When she entered without her hijab, Yazid became angry. He started saying to her, how dare you enter this courtroom without your hijab? She said, you ask me to wear hijab, whereas the daughters of Fatima al-Zahra have nothing to cover them. You ask me about my decency, whereas the daughters of Fatima al-Zahra are being taken as captives from prison to prison. You ask me about my protection, who is there to protect the sons of Ali ibn Abi Talib at this moment?